So, the first arc for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is already over in just like 5 episodes, which is pretty wild to think about. The Hidden Inventory arc, or the Gojo backstory arc, takes place 12 years before the events of Season 1. We see Gojo and Geto in their second year of Jujutsu High School, where they're given a mission to deliver a star plasma vessel named Riko to Master Tenjin, while two groups of cursed users, including Toji Fushiguro, are conspiring against them. Now, I reviewed the first episode when it first came out, so if you guys haven't watched that video, I highly recommend you guys do that. But this video is about the entire 5-episode arc that I thought was really good. A lot of people had pretty high expectations towards this arc, me included, and I think it went above and beyond. I know that there are a lot of people complaining about the adaptation between the manga and the anime, but honestly, I believe that when it tackled the manga and adapting the 14 chapters, I think it did a really good job. I think it did it in a better way. A lot of people also had a problem with how they adapted the fight with Gojo and Toji, but honestly, I don't really see the big problem with it. I mean, it is an adaptation. It can't be, directly the same. So again, I have no problem with it. If you guys have a problem with it, I would love to hear it in the comments. It is animated by MAPPA Studios, so automatically you could tell that this is gonna have amazing animation. We knew that the background settings and character designs were gonna look pretty awesome, and it did. But in the first episode, we did see a couple of times where the animators tried to experiment on different animation styles. I really wish that they continued that animation style, or at least continue on experimenting with animation styles, and they did, which thankfully looked really good in later episodes on. But one underrated gem that I noticed when looking at the animation was the smoothness of flow of their movement in each characters, whether it's in a comedic scene, an action scene, or just when they're just standing around trying to show emotions. The action here is the definite highlight of the season. Every fight scene is animated so well, and it's where you see the movements really shine with its crazy action choreography. However, in the beginning, fight scenes kind of seemed like they were pretty pointless, kind of like throwaway fight scenes, just to make Gojo and Geto look really strong, which we didn't really need because we saw an entire season of how strong they really are. But later on, they revealed the real reasoning on why they're just throwing off a bunch of fights at Gojo and Geto, and it just added on to the intensity of the final battle that shows up in episodes 3 and 4. It's actually episodes 3 and 4 where the entire tone of the arc starts to shift, and you can really tell that with the comedy, action, and just how the characters are starting to interact with each other. In the first 2 episodes, and also in the first half of episode 3, is where we see a lot of comedic, goofy, and just really fun sides of the story. Then the last half of episode 3 and the last 2 episodes is where we start getting to see the series become a bit more serious. Less jokes are being told, and we get to see inside the mental state of Geto. Now, I did say that the action is the highlight of the entire season, but the characters are the true heart and soul of this entire series. We see a lot of side characters from the first season get a bit more screen time and things to do. Some of the villains are pretty forgettable here, but I think that's just made on design. It's really great to see Gojo not only be the comedian that he is, but also a more badass side of him. We get glimpses of that in season 1, but here there's just constant battles being thrown at him, and we get to see him show off and go beyond, which is great. Now, the main villain, Toji, is already like a top 3 of the best villains in Jujutsu Kaisen. At first, he just seemed like this chill, gambling addict dude that just seems like an asshole. But later on, he's actually shown to be a pretty threatening, strategic, and powerful villain. But the main focus of this season was not on Gojo and not on Toji, but on Geto. In season 1, he is one of the main villains of the season. But here in season 2, he is a main character. He's a good guy. And we see his strong connection and friendship with Gojo and why he decided to betray Jutsu High. I love seeing scenes of him defending his philosophy against Gojo on being a jutsu sorcerer, and the later scenes of him just struggling with his ideology. How do you say it? ideology. And the later scenes of him struggling with his ideology of there being a reason to kill is a better reason than just him losing his mind and going batshit crazy. And it's also really cool to look back on the movie and season 1 with all of that in mind. Overall, this arc was a really good way to continue the series. Animation has improved a lot from season 1. It's a lot more colorful and they experimented a lot with new styles, which I really appreciate. Same thing could be said with the fight scenes, except I still prefer the fights from season 1. Toji and Gojo are both really incredible characters, but I think Geto steals the show here. With his struggles of being a jutsu sorcerer and just his philosophy of not knowing what their purpose is and why there is a reason to keep being a jujutsu sorcerer. It's a great start to what's going to be not only the best arc of this entire series, but definitely the most game-changing, the Shibuya incident arc. I am so excited to see how that turns out, but right now the series is currently on a little hiatus for the release of episode 6, which will be coming out August 31st, where there will be starting the Shibuya incident arc. And while I wait for that, I will definitely be rewatching Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and the first season and obviously the first 5 episodes of this arc as well. But what are your guys' thoughts on this arc? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Let me know all of your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.